Let me tell you what happens when you finally see through someone's mask. It's not just about catching them in a lie or spotting an inconsistency in their story. No. It's about that moment when all their carefully constructed layers start peeling away and they realize they can't fool you anymore. That's when the real show begins. They panic, not because you caught them in one lie, but because you've developed the ability to see through all their lies. Their entire world of manipulation starts crumbling because their favorite puppet has learned to see the strings. These masters of deception have spent years perfecting their performance. They've learned exactly when to smile, when to act hurt, when to play the victim. They know precisely how to make others feel guilty for questioning them. But now you've done something unforgivable. You've learned to read their script before they perform it. You can predict their next move because you've studied their playbook. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than someone who can anticipate their tactics. It's like their weapon has been turned against them, and suddenly, they're the ones feeling exposed and vulnerable. Watch how they react when you start calling out their patterns. First comes the denial. Strong, aggressive, almost believable. They'll tell you you're imagining things, that you're being paranoid, that you're the one with the problem. Then comes the rage, when they realize their denial isn't working anymore. They'll try to turn others against you, spread rumors, paint you as the unstable one. But here's what's really happening. Every accusation they throw at you is actually a confession. They're telling you exactly who they are, hoping you'll get overwhelmed and back down. But you're not backing down anymore, are you? The most fascinating part is watching their control start slipping. These people are used to being the puppet masters, pulling everyone's strings from behind the scenes. But now, someone in their audience has spotted the strings. And worse, they're pointing them out to others. That's when the real panic sets in. They realize they're losing their power, their influence, their carefully crafted image. Everything they've built is at risk because one person, you, refused to keep playing by their rules. And that's when they become truly dangerous, because a cornered manipulator will do anything to regain control. Now they're scrambling to maintain their facade, but it's too late. You've seen how they switch personalities, depending on who's watching. You've noticed how their stories don't quite add up, how their excuses always make them the hero or the victim, never the villain. They're like a magician whose tricks have been exposed. Once you know how the illusion works, you can't unsee it. And what's worse for them, you're not just seeing through their current tricks, you're remembering all the times they fooled you before. Every manipulation, every guilt trip, every fake apology is coming back with perfect clarity. The desperation in their eyes when they realize their usual tactics aren't working anymore. That's pure terror. They'll try everything. Love bombing, guilt tripping, threatening, pleading. They'll promise to change, swear they'll be different, beg for another chance. But you see it now, how they switch between these tactics like flipping through channels, trying to find the one that still works on you. But none of them work anymore, because you've learned to see the actor behind all these roles they play. You've discovered that their emotions are just tools they use to get what they want. Their entire world revolves around maintaining different versions of themselves for different people. They're one person with their family, another with their friends, another at work, and something else entirely behind closed doors. But you've become dangerous because you can see all these versions at once. You're like someone who's watched the same movie so many times they can spot every edit, every special effect, every camera trick. Their movie isn't entertaining anymore. It's just obvious manipulation, and they know it. Look at how they start to unravel when they realize they've lost their power over you. Everything they've built their identity around, their ability to charm, to manipulate, to control, suddenly becomes useless against someone who can see through it all. That's when their true self starts leaking out around the edges. The rage they've always hidden, the insecurities they've covered up, the emptiness they've tried to fill by controlling others. It all comes spilling out. And there's nothing they can do to stop it, because you've already seen too much. The really delicious part is watching them try to discredit you before you can expose them to others. They'll tell everyone you're crazy, unstable, vindictive. Truth is a funny thing when it finally breaks free. These people have spent years building walls of lies, creating perfect little stories about who they are, carefully constructing an image that everyone would love and trust. But when that mask starts cracking, truth doesn't just leak out, it explodes. Every lie they've ever told starts unraveling all at once. And suddenly, they're standing there, naked and exposed, watching as their carefully constructed reality crumbles around them. That's true terror, not the fear of being caught in one lie, but the horror of watching your entire false identity dissolve. The really interesting part is what happens to their relationships once people start seeing who they really are. All those connections they built while wearing their mask, they start falling apart. Because nobody was actually friends with them. They were friends with the character they created. It's like watching a house of mirrors shatter. Suddenly everyone can see that the person they trusted, admired, maybe even loved, never actually existed. And the real person, underneath, they're a stranger who's been watching, studying, and manipulating everyone around them. Now they're facing their worst nightmare, being seen for who they really are. These people built their entire lives on other people's perceptions. They measured their worth by how well they could fool others, how perfectly they could maintain their facade. But now that the truth is out, they're discovering something terrifying. They don't know who they are without their mask. They've spent so long pretending to be different people for different audiences that they've lost touch with their own reality. And that emptiness, that's what really terrifies them. Watch how they start questioning everything once their deception is exposed. Every relationship, every achievement, every moment of connection, was any of it real? Did anyone ever actually care about them? Or did they only care about the illusion? The truth starts poisoning their memories, making them realize that every meaningful moment in their life might have been built on lies. They're not just losing their mask, they're losing their entire history, their whole sense of self. And there's nothing more terrifying than realizing you've become a stranger to yourself. The panic really sets in when they realize they can't put the mask back on. Once people have seen behind it, no amount of manipulation or performance can make them unsee it. These master manipulators suddenly find themselves powerless because their greatest weapon, deception, has become useless. They're like a snake without its venom, still trying to strike, but knowing their bite has no power anymore. Every attempt to regain control just makes them look more desperate, more transparent, more obviously fake. Most fascinating is watching them try to maintain their other relationships while one part of their facade crumbles. They become paranoid, wondering who else might see through them. Every interaction becomes a test. every conversation a potential threat. They start making mistakes, letting their mask slip in moments of stress, showing flashes of their true self to people who aren't ready to see it. It's like watching someone try to plug holes in a dam that's already breaking. Each fix just creates pressure somewhere else until the whole thing finally bursts. The collapse of their facade reveals something they've been running from their whole lives, their own emptiness. Without their masks, without their carefully crafted personalities, they're forced to face what's left. And often, there's not much there. They've spent so long being whatever other people needed them to be that they've forgotten how to just be. That's the real reason they're terrified. Not because you exposed them to others, but because you forced them to see themselves. Their world becomes a minefield of potential exposures. Every old lie might resurface. Every past manipulation might come to light. They start seeing threats everywhere, in casual conversations, in old photos, in innocent questions. Their life becomes an exhausting game of damage control, trying to maintain what's left of their facade, while knowing it's only a matter of time before more truth emerges. It's like watching someone trying to hold smoke in their hands. The harder they grip, the more it slips away. These master manipulators suddenly find themselves trapped in a nightmare of their own making. Every lie they told, every story they invented, every fake personality they created, it's all coming back to haunt them. But here's what makes it truly terrifying for them. They're discovering that the truth doesn't need their permission to emerge. Once it starts breathing, once it tastes freedom, it takes on a life of its own. Their lies become obvious, their manipulations transparent, their true nature impossible to hide. Here's the beautiful thing about truth. It doesn't need to attack, it just needs to exist. These people, they're running around blaming you for their destruction, pointing fingers, calling you a monster for exposing them. But you didn't plant those lies. You didn't create those fake personalities. You didn't build that house of cards they called a life. All you did was refuse to keep playing along, and their whole world started falling apart. They're the architects of their own destruction. You just stopped being their accomplice. They never understood that every lie they told was another crack in their foundation. Each fake smile, each manipulated story, each crafted personality. They thought they were building something stronger, but they were just adding more weight to a structure that was already breaking. Now, they're watching it all collapse, and they want to blame you. But you didn't set the explosive. You just pointed out what was already burning. Their life was a time bomb from the moment they chose deception over truth. The really pathetic part is watching them try to rebuild using the same broken materials. They're still reaching for their old tricks, still trying to manipulate, still thinking they can fix this with more lies. But you can't patch up a sinking ship with the same holes that made it sink. Every attempt to regain control just highlights how little control they actually had. They're like architects trying to fix a collapsing building by adding more weight to it, not realizing that their entire approach to construction was flawed from the start. Look at how they scramble to salvage what's left of their fake life. They'll throw anyone under the bus, betray any confidence, break any promise, all in a desperate attempt to maintain some fragment of their crumbling facade. But here's what they don't get. The very actions they're taking to save themselves are just proving everyone right about who they really are. Every desperate move, every attempt to shift blame, every manipulation tactic they use just confirms what people are finally seeing, that they've always been exactly who you said they were. These master manipulators never realized that they were building their entire existence on quicksand. Every relationship was conditional. Every connection was strategic. Every interaction was a performance. They created a life that could only survive in perfect conditions, where nobody questioned too deeply, where nobody looked too closely, where nobody demanded authenticity. But life doesn't work that way. The truth always finds its way in, and anything built on lies will eventually suffocate under the weight of reality. Now they're learning the hardest lesson, that authenticity isn't just some cute buzzword. It's the only foundation strong enough to survive reality. Everything else, it's temporary. All those perfectly crafted lies, all those strategic manipulations, all those fake personalities. They were building a palace out of paper. And now that the rain has come, they're standing in the middle of their soggy kingdom, wondering why nothing they built could last. But you didn't bring the rain. You just refused to pretend it wasn't getting wet. The real comedy in all this is how they still think they can fix it. They're running around trying to patch up their reputation, trying to salvage relationships, trying to maintain some semblance of their former power. But they're using the same broken tools that got them here in the first place. More lies, more manipulation, more fake apologies and empty promises. They don't understand that they're not just losing control. They're losing the very ability to control. Because once people see through you, no amount of performance can make them unsee it. Watch their desperate attempts to rewrite history now that everything's falling apart. They'll try to convince everyone that they were misunderstood, that their intentions were pure, that they were actually the victims all along. But their revisionist history isn't working anymore because people finally see the pattern. Every story they tell, every excuse they make, every justification they offer just reinforces what everyone now knows, that their entire life was built on a foundation of lies too fragile to survive exposure to truth. Most fascinating is how their own choices become their prison. Every lie they told, every relationship they manipulated, every truth they buried, it's all coming back to trap them. They built this cage themselves, bar by bar, lie by lie, manipulation by manipulation. And now that they're locked inside it, they want to blame you for closing the door. But you didn't design this prison. You didn't force them to live a life so fragile that the truth could shatter it. They did that all on their own, one deception at a time. Want to know what really drives them insane? It's not the exposure, it's the withdrawal. Every fake smile, every manufactured moment, every scrap of attention they collected, it was all just another hit of their favorite drug. Social validation. They're addicts, you see, and you just cut off their supply. No more easy fixes. No more instant gratification from their perfectly curated lies. Now they're shaking, desperate, watching their audience slip away while their hands grasp at empty air. The thing about validation junkies, they built their entire existence on other people's reactions. Morning, noon, night, performing, adjusting, calculating every move like some deranged chess player. But the game's changed now. The pieces don't move like they used to. One wrong step, one tiny crack in their performance, and everything starts crumbling. That's when the real fun begins. Tick-tock, tick-tock. counting likes, counting comments, counting every scrap of attention like it's precious gold. Pathetic, isn't it? But here's what makes me laugh. The harder they try to hold on to their audience now, the faster people run away. It's like watching someone try to grab smoke with bloody hands. The more they squeeze, the more it slips through their fingers. Oh, but the desperation. That's the real show. See them scrambling to maintain their image across different groups. It used to be so easy. Different masks for different crowds, different stories for different ears. But now, their worlds are colliding. Stories don't match up. Lies contradict each other. And they're standing in the middle of it all, trying to keep their stories straight while everything burns around them. Remember how they used to walk into a room and instantly become whatever everyone needed? The perfect friend, the wounded victim, the wise advisor, changing faces faster than cards in a rigged deck. But exposure changed the game. Now people see the cards up their sleeve, the mirrors in their hands, the strings they used to pull. And nobody's placing bets on their performance anymore. The panic starts small, a missed like here, an unanswered message there. But it grows, spreads. Suddenly their social media posts sit there, gathering dust instead of praise. Their dramatic stories meet silence instead of sympathy. The validation well runs dry, and that's when the real madness begins. They start overcompensating, reaching out desperately, doing anything to get that fix of approval they need to feel real. Funny thing about empty vessels, they make the most noise when they're cracking. These people never built anything inside themselves. Everything was external, borrowed, stolen from the reactions of others. Now that the validation's drying up, you can hear them rattling. Hollow, breaking. Each desperate attempt to regain control just shows how little control they ever had. But here's the real kicker. They can't stop performing. Even when it's obviously not working, even when everyone sees through the act, they keep dancing their little dance. It's all they know. Like a street performer continuing their routine while the crowd walks away. The show must go on, right? Even if no one's watching anymore. Even if every movement just exposes more of their lies. The terror in their eyes when they realize they can't start fresh somewhere else. That's pure poetry. Used to be they could just move on, find new audiences, new sources of validation when the old ones dried up. Not anymore. Word spreads. Reputations follow. Each new attempt to build their house of cards fails faster than the last. The walls are closing in, and there's nowhere left to run. The really twisted part? Deep down, they knew this day was coming. Every morning putting on their masks, every night rehearsing their lies, every moment spent juggling different versions of themselves. They felt the clock ticking, that nagging voice in their head whispering, one day they'll see through you. And now that day has arrived. No more rehearsals, no more practice runs. The curtain's been ripped away, and they're standing there, script in hand, realizing they never learned how to be real. Imagine building your entire existence on quicksand, then being surprised when you start sinking. Each lie they told, each performance they gave, each scrap of validation they collected. It was all just more weight, dragging them down. Now they're thrashing around, reaching for anything solid, but everything they grab is just as fake as they are. In the end, what destroys them isn't the exposure, it's their own addiction to the lie. They'll keep chasing that high, keep searching for that validation fix, long after it's gone. Because without their audience, without their constant stream of approval and attention, they don't exist. They never did. They're just empty costumes falling to the floor, with no one left to wear them. And that's the joke they never saw coming. Lies are a weapon sharper than any blade, crafted not to cut, but to cripple. Each falsehood is a calculated strike, aimed at your foundation, at the essence of who you are. They thought the weight of those words would bury you, that the whispers would erode your resolve. But lies, for all their venom, lack substance. They crumble when faced with resilience. And you, standing in the storm of deceit, became the proof that no fabrication can outweigh the power of unwavering conviction. Deception thrives in shadows, feeding on doubt and fear. It twists perceptions, turning allies into adversaries and clarity into confusion. But you never needed the approval of the blind. Lies may cloud the air, but your vision remained sharp. You didn't stumble through their fog. You stood still, let it pass, and watched as the storm of dishonesty scattered into nothingness. They underestimated the strength of someone who knows the power of the unshakable self. Every lie was a test, a trial meant to gauge how much you could endure before breaking. And each one became another notch in your armor. Lies can bruise, but they cannot shatter the determined. You allowed their words to strike, to sting, to echo, and then to dissipate. While they wasted energy on spinning tales, you invested yours in building resilience. Lies cannot harm someone who refuses to believe in them. There's a strange beauty in the destruction lies attempt to create. They reveal the weakness of the liars, their desperate need to control narratives they cannot own. Each word they spoke was a confession of their own inadequacy, a reflection of their fear. You didn't just survive their lies, you transcended them. While they tangled themselves in their web, you walked free, unbothered by the noise behind you. Lies are the currency of the powerless, used when action fails and strength falters. They are the refuge of those too small to confront you directly. You saw their lies for what they were, attempts to tear down what they couldn't understand, to diminish what they couldn't match. Instead of succumbing to their narrative, you rewrote it, turning their venom into the fuel that pushed you forward. The power of a lie lies in its audience, in the willingness of others to believe. But you never needed to convince anyone of your worth. Lies may spread like wildfire, but fires burn out. And when the smoke cleared, the only thing left standing was you. Their words were meant to destroy you, but instead, they became a testament to your endurance. Lies cannot hold down someone who refuses to fall. To survive lies is to embrace solitude. It's to accept that the only voice that matters is your own. While others wavered, torn between stories and whispers, you held firm, anchored by an inner strength that no lie could touch. They wanted to isolate you, to make you question yourself. Instead, you found clarity in the chaos, realizing that isolation is where true strength is born. Each lie was a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. They thought their words would weigh you down, but instead, you used them to climb higher. Every accusation, every falsehood, became another reminder of why you cannot rely on the fragile opinions of others. Lies are temporary, fleeting, and forgettable. But your resilience is eternal, unyielding, and unforgettable. To stand against lies is to embody defiance. It's to look into the eyes of deceit and say, This is not enough to stop me. You didn't just endure the lies, you thrived because of them. While they focused on tearing you down, you built yourself up, brick by brick, until their efforts seemed pitiful in comparison. Lies may linger, but the truth of your strength will always outlast them. A liar begins with making falsehood appear like truth, and ends with making truth itself appear like falsehood. A lie is a delicate thing, spun from the threads of half-truths and empty promises, woven together with the intention to deceive. At first, it seems harmless, almost believable, a distortion so subtle that even the keenest eyes might miss it. But lies have a way of growing, of twisting, of becoming something monstrous. The liar starts with a simple deception, a flicker of manipulation, and before long, they craft an entire reality, a labyrinth of falsehoods meant to trap the unsuspecting. It's not the first lie that wounds. It's the weight of the world built upon it. Lies are parasites, feeding on the credibility of their host. They mimic reality, wrapping themselves in the familiar so that they're harder to distinguish. The liar understands that the best deceptions are the ones that mirror what people want to believe. A skilled liar doesn't create a new story. They corrupt the existing one, bending it to their will. The lie becomes a shadow, indistinguishable from the truth, until it grows large enough to swallow everything whole. What the liar never anticipates is the cost of their craft. Lies demand maintenance, constant vigilance to keep them alive. Every falsehood breeds another, each more desperate and convoluted than the last. The liar becomes a prisoner of their own creation, shackled by the very fabrications they wove. And in their desperation to sustain the lie, they begin to unravel themselves. The lie might thrive for a while, but it always outgrows its master. The ultimate power of a lie is its ability to make reality seem unreal. The liar thrives on confusion, turning certainty into doubt. They aim to erode your confidence, to make you question everything you know. Lies create chaos, and chaos is where the liar feels safest. They don't need you to believe the lie. They just need you to doubt the truth. But doubt is a double-edged sword, one that cuts the liar as deeply as their victim. The beauty of your resilience lies in your clarity. While the liar twists and contorts reality, you remain grounded in your own perception. Lies are smoke, designed to obscure, but you are the fire that burns through the haze. The liar's ultimate goal is control, to make you dance to the rhythm of their deception. But you stood still, refusing to play their game, refusing to let their chaos consume you. You became the immovable force against their manipulative storm. Lies, for all their allure, are inherently weak. They lack the foundation that truth possesses, and so they crumble under the weight of scrutiny. The liar counts on your silence, your unwillingness to challenge the narrative. But when you stood up, when you questioned, when you pushed back, the lie fractured. The liar's greatest fear is exposure, and your defiance became the mirror that revealed their fragile facade. Lies cannot survive in the face of someone who refuses to be deceived. The liar's downfall is their own hubris. They believe that their web is impenetrable, that their control is absolute. But lies are a house of cards, and it only takes a single gust of truth to bring it crashing down. The liar underestimates the power of resilience, the ability to rise above manipulation. You didn't just survive their lies, you dismantled them piece by piece, until all that remained was the hollow shell of their deceit. To make truth appear as falsehood is the liar's ultimate ambition, but it is also their undoing. The effort required to twist reality is unsustainable, a constant drain on their energy and focus. And while the liar exhausts themselves maintaining the illusion, you thrive in your authenticity. Lies may create temporary chaos, but they cannot extinguish the light of someone who refuses to be dimmed. The liar's greatest weapon is doubt, but your greatest weapon is certainty. The liar begins their game with confidence, believing in their ability to control the narrative. But they forget that every lie has a lifespan, a point where it becomes too heavy to carry. The more they lie, the more obvious the deception becomes. And while the liar is busy spinning their web, you are busy strengthening your resolve. Lies cannot keep you down, because your strength lies not in illusions, but in the unshakable reality of who you are. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. So you need to take a stand to such people. Always. Deception thrives on permission. The deceiver is nothing without the complicit, those who lower their guard, who accept the narrative without question. Every lie finds its power in the silence of its victim, in the unchallenged moments where deceit is allowed to take root. To stand against a deceiver is to disrupt their cycle, to rob them of the fuel they require to continue. It's a declaration that you refuse to be a pawn in their game, that you will not bend to their manipulation. The deceiver's greatest skill lies in identifying those who doubt themselves. They prey on uncertainty, exploiting vulnerabilities and weaving illusions to distract from reality. But the moment you take a stand, the spell is broken. Deception cannot survive confrontation. It thrives in the shadows, but withers in the light. To stand up to a deceiver is to show them the one thing they fear most: clarity. When you refuse to play along, their power collapses. Allowing deception to persist makes you a part of it. To remain silent in the face of a lie is to give it room to grow, to let it spread like a poison. But silence was never your weapon. You chose confrontation, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. The deceiver counts on your passivity, your fear of disrupting the status quo. By taking a stand, you shattered their illusions and reclaimed your control. The deceiver and the deceived are locked in a dance, one that continues until someone steps out of the rhythm. By refusing to play your part, you forced the deceiver to falter. Their web of lies, carefully constructed and delicately balanced, began to unravel. Taking a stand is not just resistance, it's rebellion. It's the refusal to let their falsehoods define your reality, the defiance that says, no more. Standing against deception is not an act of aggression, but of self-respect. It's the acknowledgement that your integrity is worth more than their approval. The deceiver will always seek out those who doubt themselves, those who hesitate to speak up. But you are not one of them. You chose to rise, to fight, to stand firm in the face of manipulation. And in doing so, you became untouchable, a force they could no longer control. To confront a deceiver is to disrupt their foundation. They rely on silence, on complicity, on the assumption that their lies will go unchallenged. But when you stood up, you forced them to face the one thing they cannot handle: accountability. Lies are fragile things, and the deceiver knows this. They fear those who see through them, who refuse to accept their narrative. By taking a stand, you stripped them of their power and left them exposed. The power of a deceiver lies not in their lies, but in the willingness of others to believe them. When you refuse to believe, you robbed them of that power. Taking a stand is more than defiance. It's liberation. It's the act of reclaiming your autonomy, of saying that your reality will not be dictated by someone else's deceit. Deception cannot survive where there is resistance, and your resistance was unyielding. To stand against a deceiver is to break the cycle. Deception feeds on repetition, on the idea that lies can be told again and again without consequence. By taking a stand, you became the consequence, the reminder that manipulation has limits. You didn't just survive the lies, you dismantled them, ensuring that their power could no longer harm you. Your defiance became the wall they could not climb, the end of their game. Taking a stand against deception is not an easy path, but it is the only one that leads to freedom. To remain silent is to remain a prisoner of their lies, to let their narrative shape your reality. But when you stood up, you chose freedom over comfort, clarity over complicity. The deceiver's power lies in their ability to go unchallenged. By challenging them, you reclaimed not just your voice, but your power. We all have defining moments. It is in these moments that we find our true characters. We become heroes or cowards, truth-tellers or liars. We go forward or we go backward, and this includes lying to your own self as well. A defining moment doesn't announce itself with grandeur. It arrives in the quiet, in the spaces between chaos, in the whispers that challenge your very soul. These moments are merciless mirrors, showing you exactly who you are. When confronted with the choice to face or to flee, your character is laid bare. Some step forward into the storm, confronting their flaws and fears. Others retreat into the shadows, weaving lies to justify their retreat, not just to the world, but to themselves. The greatest lie is the one told to the self. It is insidious, feeding on the insecurities buried deep within. It comforts with false promises, convincing you that avoiding the fire is safer than enduring it. But self-deception is the slowest poison, dulling your potential while whispering that it's protecting you. A defining moment demands honesty, not with others, but with yourself. It forces you to strip away the illusions and face the raw, unfiltered reflection of who you've become. To lie to oneself is to deny the chance to evolve. Every excuse, every justification is a step backward, a choice to remain shackled to mediocrity. Defining moments do not allow such luxury. They demand movement, forward or back, light or dark, growth or stagnation. Self-deception may feel like safety, but it is a prison. The only escape is courage. The courage to admit your flaws, to confront your weaknesses, to rise above the lies you've told yourself. Cowards avoid the defining moments, shrinking from their weight, while heroes embrace them. Heroes are not fearless. They are those who face their fears and refuse to let them dictate their path. Each defining moment is a crossroads, and the decision made echoes far beyond the moment itself. To step forward is to face uncertainty, to risk failure, but also to embrace transformation. To step back is to choose the comfort of the familiar, to let fear define you. The liar is not just the one who deceives others, but the one who deceives themselves. This is the most dangerous kind of dishonesty, for it shapes the very fabric of your existence. Self-deception convinces you that you're powerless, when, in reality, you've simply chosen not to wield your power. A defining moment cuts through such lies, exposing the choice that has always been yours, to rise or to fall. Defining moments are relentless. They force you to confront the uncomfortable truths you've buried beneath layers of justification and denial. The moment you stop lying to yourself is the moment you reclaim your power. It's painful, raw, and unforgiving, but it is also liberating. The weight of self-deception is heavy, but the clarity that comes from facing it is worth every ounce of discomfort. To embrace the moment is to shatter the illusions and step into your own potential. To move forward in a defining moment is to reject the comfort of complacency. Growth is never comfortable, and defining moments are the ultimate tests of your willingness to endure. Those who lie to themselves avoid the discomfort, choosing stagnation over transformation. But those who face the moment, who choose honesty over self-deception, find a strength they never knew existed. They find the hero within, the part of themselves that refuses to be confined by fear. Each defining moment is a battle between who you are and who you could become. It's a struggle between the lies you've told yourself and the truths you've hidden from. To face it is to embrace the unknown, to trust in your ability to rise above the weight of the moment. The decision to move forward is not easy, but it is necessary. It is in this choice that you find your true character, not in the absence of struggle, but in the way you confront it. Defining moments are not just challenges, they are opportunities. They force you to confront what you've been avoiding, to admit what you've been denying. To face such a moment is to reclaim your narrative, to write your own story instead of letting fear dictate it. Self-deception offers an escape, but it's a false one, a detour that leads nowhere. Facing the moment head-on is the only path to growth, to strength, to freedom. When the dust settles and the defining moment passes, you are left with the undeniable clarity of who you are. You've faced the lies, both from others and within yourself, and you've emerged stronger. The defining moment becomes not a burden, but a badge, a testament to your resilience. And as you rise, unbroken and unyielding, the echoes of that moment remind you. Their lies couldn't keep you down. Nostalgia is a seductive liar, so don't get stuck in memory loops of the past. Instead, be present and take conscious action to guard yourself from liars. Nostalgia whispers sweetly, doesn't it? Like a lover who left you bleeding, but comes back with a smile that makes you forget the pain. It glosses over the cracks, paints the wounds in golden hues, and convinces you that the past was better than it was. It feeds you an illusion, telling you to linger in memories that have lost their edge. But nostalgia is no friend. It's a master manipulator, drawing you into a loop of longing that chains you to moments you should have let go of long ago. The past is not a sanctuary. It's a labyrinth. To get lost in it is to abandon the present, to forfeit the only time you have any power over. Memory is unreliable. It replays events with a warped lens, erasing the lies, the betrayals, the things that broke you. Nostalgia tricks you into opening the doors to those who shattered you, framing their return as a reunion rather than a repeat of their treachery. To stay stuck in the past is to give liars another chance to weave their web. Every moment spent clinging to the past weakens your defenses against the present. While you linger in memories, the liars sharpen their blades, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Nostalgia blinds you to the reality of who they are and what they did. It turns your pain into something romantic, something worth revisiting. But pain, no matter how beautifully it's framed, is still pain. The only way to guard yourself is to stay vigilant in the now. Liars thrive on distraction. on your inability to see the present clearly.
Whispers break glass. Mind slips sideways. You weren't ready. Control, forgotten. Reality trembles faintly. Something crawls underneath. They watch, unnoticed. Thoughts fracture endlessly. Logic becomes jelly. Hidden hands twitch. Secrets itch violently. Rules dissolve quietly. Your move, explosive. Hearts skip cracks. Brains start glitching. The unseen laughs. Perception bleeds out. Every step misfires. Angles curve wrong. Shadows eat meaning. Their eyes betray them. One wrong blink. Chaos bites sharp. You just smiled. Welcome to entropy. Nothing remains safe. They're trapped inside. The room hums softly. Nothing moves. Nothing seems wrong. But it isn't normal. Not anymore. Joker sits in the corner, legs crossed, watching. His smile is quiet, dangerous. Tiny things flicker in the periphery. A shadow moves the wrong way. A light hums off-key. A pen rolls slightly, then stops. These are small, meaningless accidents. Or maybe not. The subject walks in, unaware. Each step triggers a reaction they cannot see, cannot predict. A whisper of a sound behind the door. A flash in the corner of the eye. They blink. The world shifts ever so slightly. The brain notices it, but the conscious mind denies it. The seed is planted. Joker thrives in these invisible perturbations. He doesn't touch the subject directly. He doesn't need to. Control is quieter than force. It is subtle. It is invisible. It is everywhere, except where you think to look. A misplaced cup, a misaligned picture frame, a wall that seems too close. Tiny variables that begin to pull threads in the mind. Every small disruption adds up. Patterns appear that shouldn't exist. The subject begins to question reality. Did I leave the door unlocked? Did I just see something move? Each thought unravels slightly, threads stretching in ways they cannot yet understand. Joker watches silently, measuring. This is his laboratory. The human mind, delicate and precise, responds like clockwork. To chaos if you know the rules. A flicker of movement. A shadow that seems human, then isn't. A sound that disappears when you look for it. The subject senses a presence, though no one is there. The first cracks appear. Hesitation grows. Their pulse quickens for no reason. Joker leans forward. He whispers nothing. His smile is enough. Invisible, yet powerful. He's the variable they never accounted for. Every glance, every tiny shift, every unnoticed pattern is his doing. And then the catalyst strikes. Something so small, so inconsequential it almost goes unnoticed. A page turned the wrong way, a pen left uncapped. Yet it's enough. Enough to awaken awareness. Enough to start questioning. Enough to spark the first glitch. The subject freezes, noticing a disconnect they cannot name. The world feels off balance, though nothing is wrong. And that is the point. The invisible hand has moved. The first domino tilts. Chaos has begun. Joker leans back, letting silence stretch. The smile grows wider. The experiment has started, and the mind is already dancing to his tune. Control is slipping just enough, and he hasn't even touched them yet. Doors that shouldn't exist, signs pointing everywhere, paths folding back. The subject walks carefully, each step measured, each breath heavy. Nothing seems real anymore. The room twists subtly, walls bending in impossible ways. Colors shift, but only for a fraction of a second. Long enough to plant doubt, short enough to escape reason. Joker drifts unseen, a whisper in the edges of perception. His eyes gleam with mischief. Every paradox is deliberate, every trap a puzzle designed to fracture thinking. The mind stretches, searching for logic, only to find contradictions layered upon contradictions. A clock that ticks backward, a word spoken twice, the second time unfamiliar. A reflection in the glass that doesn't match the body in front of it. The subject reaches for stability, but it slides away. They try to focus on one point, one task, one truth, but each attempt fractures further. Joker has built the labyrinth of the mind before even entering the room. Invisible walls, invisible hands, invisible rules. Metaphors swirl like smoke, a graduation test with no answers, a secret club where initiation is both reward and punishment. The subject doesn't know the rules, yet they obey, compelled by a subconscious fear of error. Every misstep is a lesson, every hesitation a revelation. And through it all, Joker watches, savoring the tension, enjoying the silent scream behind their eyes. Nothing is overt, nothing is dramatic. This is the art of subtle destruction, a misplaced object, a flicker of movement, a sound that doesn't belong. The subject senses something is off but cannot name it. The more they search for logic, the less they find. Reality becomes a fluid concept, bending under the weight of unseen influence. Then, a moment, a door that appears open yet closes when approached. A word misremembered yet repeated by someone who wasn't there. A shadow moving independently of light. Each paradox is a stepping stone deeper into uncertainty, a tightening coil around perception. The subject falters. Confusion bleeds into anxiety. Doubt spreads like ink through water. Joker smiles quietly, the ultimate puppeteer. The mind bends, but the subject doesn't yet see the strings. The traps are invisible, but their effect is palpable. By the time the subject realizes the walls are not walls, the floor not fixed, the air not predictable, Joker has already moved them into his theater of chaos. And they have no idea it is him who pulls every invisible thread. The maze has begun. The traps are set. Reality is optional. Lights pulse wrong. Shadow. WS, twitch alive. Sound breaks rhythm. The subject stumbles. Every sense warps. Walls seem closer, then farther. The floor tilts slightly, just enough to unsettle. Reflections in glass and metal distort. Faces appear where none should be. Whispers echo from corners that do not exist. Logic fights back, but it is losing. Joker lingers at the edges of perception, grinning, invisible yet omnipresent. He doesn't push, he amplifies. Each tiny anomaly, each small inconsistency is intensified. Colors bleed into one another, clocks skip beats. Objects tremble as if alive. Every attempt to ground reality backfires, leaving the subject suspended in a constant small panic. Unseen threads pull the mind in opposing directions. They try to reason, this is normal, this is normal. But the variables Joker planted in Section 1 now multiply, interacting unpredictably. A pen rolls off a table, seemingly on its own. A door clicks shut, though no one entered. The air vibrates with faint, impossible sounds. Metaphorically, angels and monsters coexist in the same room, unseen yet tangible. Every perceived reality contains contradictions, feeding the mind like a parasite. Each glitch stacks upon the last, layering tension until focus becomes impossible. Joker smiles quietly, a conductor of unseen chaos. The subject's brain tries to reconcile, fails, and begins to fracture under the weight of invisible design. Even the simplest choices become traps. Should they reach for the light switch or step back? Should they trust their ears or their eyes? Each decision triggers another subtle disruption, another thread tugged without warning. Reality itself becomes fluid, a slippery illusion Joker molds at will. The subject notices it. Patterns emerge where there should be none. Repetitions in randomness, anomalies in every corner. Their heartbeat speeds. Rational thought begins to betray them. The mind glitches. Not violently, not overtly, but continuously, persistently, irreversibly. Joker watches the transformation with detached amusement. He does not need to strike. He only needs to orchestrate. Every flicker of light, every off-key note, every shadow out of place becomes a hammer chipping at the walls of certainty. By the end, the subject no longer trusts even tea. Air owns senses. The glitch has taken hold. Every glance, every thought, every breath is mediated by Joker's invisible hand. The experiment escalates. Control is slipping. The world, their mind, the very air. They belong to him, if only perceptually, and the amplification has only just begun. Crowded room, empty mind, faces blur. Eyes stare, no one speaks. The subject moves through familiar spaces, but familiarity is gone. Every sound is amplified. Every step echoes differently. Laughter seems too sharp, whispers too precise. The walls close in subtly. The floor tilts imperceptibly. Isolation comes not from absence, but presence. An invisible pressure from every direction. Joker drifts at the periphery, invisible yet omnipresent. His smile curls around the edges of their awareness. He doesn't need confrontation. Control is quieter, more sinister. He engineers every interaction, every glance, every sound to feed the mind's unraveling. The subject senses eyes where none exist, hears footsteps that vanish before the turn, feels breath that is not their own. The siege tightens. Familiar objects betray their trust. A chair slides slightly when they look away. A door closes when approached, then reopens behind them. Every attempt to orient themselves fails. The world becomes a labyrinth of contradictions, a theater of subtle terror. Joker watches, enjoying the tension, savoring the delicate dance between fear and fascination. Metaphor, a secret club whose initiation is torment. T. He rules are invisible. Every misstep is punished by doubt. Every hesitation is noticed. Every thought is manipulated. The subject becomes both observer and participant in a game they cannot comprehend. Reality is no longer a refuge. It is a trap. Time stretches, or maybe it collapses. Minutes feel like hours. Hours feel like moments. Each heartbeat accelerates. The mind strains to reconcile what is seen with what is known. Shadows seem alive. Reflections move independently. Sounds echo from impossible angles. The siege is silent, but deafening. Joker leans back in the shadows, detached amusement flickering in his eyes. He has not touched the subject. He has not spoken. He has simply orchestrated an environment that bends perception, folds reality, and fractures certainty. Every hesitation, every stutter, every glance of confusion is a note in his symphony of control. The subject falters. They reach for a foothold. Logic, memory, instinct. But the ground shifts beneath each attempt. Doubt becomes obsession. Fear becomes attention. The siege is psychological, invisible, complete. By the end, they are trapped in a maze of perception, and the puppeteer's strings remain unseen. Joker smiles. Silence stretches. The siege continues. The mind is his, one subtle adjustment at a time. The cracks become clear. Patterns emerge. Shapes shift. Something is watching. The subject pauses, senses sharpening. At first, it is fleeting. A rhythm too precise. A shadow too deliberate. Then claret. Why pierces the fog? Every disruption, every flicker, every misalignment. It is not random. Someone is orchestrating this. Someone unseen, everywhere, nowhere. Joker steps lightly through the edges of perception. Not seen, not heard, but felt. A glance from nowhere. A smile flickering in reflections. The revelation strikes like ice. Reality itself has been manipulated. Every glitch, every paradox, every subtle terror, all designed, all intentional. The mind reels. Recognition brings terror and awe. The subject begins tracing patterns, linking anomalies, mapping invisible hands. The world warps under this knowledge. Their heartbeat quickens, thoughts collide, senses scream. It is dizzying. The very air feels loaded with intent. Metaphor, a secret club where angels and monsters teach lessons hidden beneath initiation. The subject is both student and prey. Every insight births another question, every revelation another trap. Logic teeters on a knife's edge, and the line between understanding and madness blurs. Objects betray memory. Reflections contradict reality. Sounds echo with sinister precision. Doors lead to nowhere, or back to the same place, subtly altered. They try to ground themselves, but the world itself has shifted beneath perception. Recognition of the manipulation does not liberate. It deepens the maze. Joker smiles in quiet triumph. He does not reveal his hand. He allows glimpses, teasing the mind, offering answers that fold into new questions. Each realization is a paradox. The more the subject understands, the more trapped they become. Insight and confusion collide, creating a tension that thrums in every nerve. The subject becomes aware that every choice is anticipated, every glance monitored, every thought accounted for. Their freedom is an illusion, their control a shadow. And yet fascination blooms alongside fear. The mind adapts, begins to analyze, begins to dance along the edge of Joker's chaos. By the end of this section, the subject knows the truth, but knowing does not free them. Reality is revealed as a stage, the rules hidden, and Joker remains omnipresent, orchestrating, teasing, laughing softly in the corners of the mind. Every perception is a trap, every insight a thread in Joker's web. The revelation is intoxicating, the mind reels. The subject has glimpsed the puppeteer, and the puppeteer smiles, the mind bends. Fear twists into fascination, confusion blooms into obsession. The subject no longer struggles against the chaos. They begin to move with it. Every paradox, every glitch, every invisible pull is absorbed, internalized. The world warps, and they warp with it. Logic and instinct reshape under Joker's quiet guidance. Joker watches, detached amusement in his eyes. He doesn't need to push anymore. The subject is becoming his creation. Their perception sharpens in strange, twisted ways. Shadows speak. Reflections hint at hidden truths. The mind becomes a labyrinth and a map simultaneously. Each step taken both discovery and trap. Metaphor. A graduation into madness. A secret club whose initiation teaches not obedience but adaptation. The subject learns to anticipate contradictions, to navigate paradox, to see the invisible threads that bind reality together. Angels and monsters no longer fight for dominance. They coexist in a symphony the subject begins to understand. The transformation is subtle. At first, micro-decisions change. Hesitation fades. Doubt shifts into curiosity. Then comes exhilaration. A thrill in knowing that the mind itself is pliable, that perception is a game, and that Joker's invisible hand can be sensed, if not resisted. The subject smiles quietly at impossibilities they now understand. Though the world remains an unpredictable chaos, every glitch becomes a tool, every paradox a lesson, every manipulation a secret handshake with the unseen. The subject's mind stretches and flexes, absorbing the patterns, dancing along the threads Joker laid. Fear lingers, yes, but fear becomes fuel, refining attention, sharpening perception. Joker leans back, satisfied. The student has become both participant and prey. They see what was once invisible. They anticipate what was once unforeseen. They are changed, transformed, no longer purely victim, but something more dangerous, something unpredictable. The air feels different. Time itself seems elastic, stretching, folding, warping in response to thought. The subject steps lightly, each movement precise, each decisi. Uninformed by their new awareness, they are no longer lost. They are attuned, aligned with the rhythm of the chaos Joker conducts. By the end, the subject is both empowered and trapped, fascinated and terrified. Transformation is complete. The invisible hand guides them, yet now they reach for it willingly. The mind is a weapon, a playground, and a prison, all at once. Joker smiles, knowing the experiment has succeeded. The student has become a creature of his design, and the dance continues. The mind breaks or adapts. Either way, Joker wins. The subject is aware. Every glitch, every paradox, every shadow. They see it all. Yet awareness is no escape. Every move they make has been anticipated, every thought accounted for. The invisible threads have tightened, and the puppet knows the strings exist, but cannot cut them. Joker steps forward, not loudly, not boldly. He doesn't need to. His presence is everywhere, in every glance, every hesitation, every tremor of perception. Reality bends under his subtle command. The world has become his theater, the subject both audience and actor. Objects, sounds, reflections, all instruments of his design. Every heartbeat, every blink, every breath, manipulated without effort. The subject realizes the ultimate truth. Control is an illusion, freedom a mirage. The unseen variable is Joker himself, omnipresent, untouchable, untamed. Metaphor, a chessboard where every piece moves before the player moves, where angels and monsters dance across. The squares, predicting intentions, rewriting outcomes. Every perception is false, every insight a trap. And yet, fascination blooms alongside fear. The mind flails, but the flailing is choreographed. The subject's mind has transformed. They see the patterns, they understand the manipulation, they even anticipate the subtle nudges, and still they cannot break free. Awareness has become part of the cage. They are both predator and prey, student and experiment. The paradox is complete. Joker smiles, broad, knowing. The invisible hand no longer merely teases, it commands. The chaos is fully realized, a perfect storm of perception, paranoia, and obsession. Each glitch, each paradox, each subtle disruption now functions in a synchronized dance. The subject is trapped in a web they can map but cannot escape. And yet, there is exhilaration. The mind, twisted and sharpened, is alive in ways it was never before. Fear becomes focus, confusion becomes strategy, obsession becomes rhythm. Joker has not just broken them, he has remade them, bending their psyche into a mirror of his chaos. The final shift occurs. Power is no longer hidden. Joker dominates not by force, but by revelation. The subject is aware, enthralled, ensnared, and yet mesmerized. Control has shifted fully, and the mind glitched, fractured, transformed, belongs entirely to him. Joker tilts his head, smiles, laughs softly. The stage is set, the experiment complete, and the mind, though seeing all, cannot escape.
They wired your brain like a machine, hoping to decode your silence. But all they heard was thunder. Not fear, not weakness, just a voice, ancient, divine, unchained. And it whispered one thing: I made war my prayer. They tried to study you like a puzzle, but ended up trapped inside the labyrinth of your soul. They poked, scanned, and stared into your shadows, hoping to find a broken mind, a trembling child. But what they discovered was prophecy. You were never thinking like the rest, because your thoughts were not thoughts. They were revolutions dressed in silence. They thought your quiet meant defeat, but silence was your war cry, so loud it broke the frequency of their control. And when they tried to tune into your brain, they didn't find trauma, they found judgment. They didn't hear madness, they heard the sound of chains breaking, and that terrified them, because no one told them that your scars were encrypted with the divine code. No one warned them that behind your smile was a storm that doesn't ask permission to destroy. They thought they hacked your system, but ended up kneeling before the architect. You didn't just survive the fire, you became its voice. And now, every time they try to understand you, they don't see a victim. They see a mirror cracking under pressure. Because you are not readable. You are not programmable. You are not a soul they can analyze. You're a frequency only angels understand and demons fear. So let them listen. Let them dissect. Let them try. But every time they tune in, all they'll hear is God preparing for war. They wanted to track your next move, but your footsteps vanished into dust before their satellites could lock on. You're not ahead of the game. You are the game. Every plan they made, you were 10 steps ahead before they even blinked. They ran your blood through machines, tried to measure your pain, but their sensors broke. Because pain isn't a signal in your body anymore. It's the engine you ride into battle. They called it overthinking, but it was divine calculation. Every thought in your head, a landmine wrapped in silence. Touch it wrong. Boom. Their history. They didn't know. You were forged in chaos, trained in storms, and kissed by something not of this world. You weren't broken. You were built by the same force that shattered their illusions. And when they tried to download your mind, they didn't find codes. They found commandments. Lines written not by humans, but carved by the voice of wrath itself. You are the final riddle their logic will never solve. You are the glitch in their system, the ghost in their files, the virus they can't delete. You are a walking contradiction, silent like a prayer, deadly like a prophecy. And every time they try to predict your next fall, you rise higher, like a phoenix with a vendetta. They studied your fears, but forgot to study your rage. And now, they've made the greatest mistake of all. They awakened you, not the version they mocked, not the one they doubted, but the one they buried alive. Now back, cloaked in destiny, fueled by vengeance, and louder than any god they ever dared to silence. So, next time they try to read your thoughts, tell them this: be careful. Some thoughts are not meant to be read. Some thoughts were written in fire, and fire doesn't whisper, it roars. So they brought in scientists, psychologists, experts in the human condition. They said, let us understand the root of your madness. But there was no root, because you were never planted. You were summoned. You're not part of their garden. You're the storm that rips it apart. They tried to define you with data, box you with labels, prescribe you with pills. But you don't have a diagnosis. You have a destiny, and it's not curable. It's not containable. It's not something they can shut down by flipping a switch. You are the electricity in the switchboard. You are the power surge that melts the system. They said, we've seen his type before. No, they haven't. You are the first of your kind, and the last thing they'll ever forget. Every time they tried to read your intentions, all they got was static, distortion, until suddenly, boom, a sentence that shattered their entire understanding of control. You thought I was broken, but I was just reloading. They called your silence dangerous, and they were right, because in that silence, you were having conversations with the fire, making deals with your demons, and sharpening blades out of every memory they tried to weaponize against you. You didn't suppress your darkness. You trained it. Now it walks beside you, smiling, calm, ready. You are not a threat. You are the consequence, the final result of every lie they told you, every back turned, every door slammed. You became something they can't even explain anymore. You are too human to be a monster, and too monstrous to be human. You're the storm that remembers, the silence that screams, the thought they tried to read, that ended up reading them, because deep in your mind, where they thought they'd find weakness, they found the voice of God, and he wasn't whispering peace. He was preparing for judgment. So go ahead, let them come closer, let them try again. Let them study every twitch of your eye, every pause between your words. But remind them, some minds weren't meant to be mapped. Some souls were never designed to be understood. Some of us were born with chaos in our bloodstream and lightning in our lungs. And the day they tried to figure you out was the day they signed their own ending. They thought they could map your brain like a city, but your mind isn't streets and signals. It's a wild jungle where gods come to hunt. And when they stepped in with their little flashlights and scanners, thinking they were the masters of intelligence, they saw shadows moving, not behind you, inside you. You weren't thinking in words. You were thinking in weapons. Each thought a sharpened fang. Each breath a warning. Each heartbeat a war drum echoing across dimensions. They thought they were observing a subject, but they were being watched, studied, measured for destruction. Because what lives in you isn't flesh, isn't logic, isn't fear. It's a code of wrath forged in the silence of betrayal and the fire of resurrection. You don't just walk through hell. You own property there. Your pain didn't break you. It baptized you. And now you walk with the calm of a storm that's already decided what to burn. They put you under lights hoping to expose you. But the light just revealed their own shadows. They thought you were hiding something. No, you were protecting them from what you really are. Because the moment they truly understand you is the moment they stop breathing peacefully. You see, you're not out for revenge. You're beyond it. You're not trying to prove them wrong. You're just letting destiny do its job. And destiny has your fingerprints on every disaster they didn't see coming. They mocked your silence, not knowing it was the silence before the kill. They laughed at your stillness, not knowing it was the patience of a sniper with eternity to aim. And now they run simulations, trying to predict your rise, trying to brace for impact. But you're not coming. You're already inside the system. You're the error message in their code, the twitch in their eye they can't control, the echo in their dreams that feels too real to ignore. You don't knock on doors. You rip them off the hinges. You don't ask for permission. You are the consequence of every mistake they made. They tried to study your trauma, but your trauma learned to shoot back. And when they finally leaned in, thinking they could hear your secrets, they heard heaven's thunder, and it wasn't praying, it was laughing. They thought the silence in your eyes meant surrender, but you were busy remembering every scar like it was scripture. You were calculating not just survival, but rebirth. They thought you were done. You were just turning the page, because the story of your life doesn't end in pain. It begins with it. You are not a chapter. You are the whole book of reckoning. And the ink they tried to erase still stains every corner of your soul with purpose. They didn't understand. You're not here for recognition. You're not here for applause. You're here to remind the universe why it feared your name before you were even born. They tried to copy your formula, tried to mimic your mind. But what you are cannot be downloaded, cannot be cloned, because what lives in you was written in divine fire, and fire doesn't replicate, it consumes. You're not a result of their system. You are the glitch that rewrote the rules. You are the prayer that was never meant to be answered, but rose anyway, clawing through fate, bleeding through time, carving your name into the jaws of destiny with a grin and a growl. They kept asking what broke you. They never asked what built you. Let me tell them, it wasn't love. It wasn't peace. It was every night you screamed into the dark and heard your own voice echo back. Not yet. I'm not finished. You were chosen by pain, but crowned by resistance. And now, when you speak, the ground listens. The shadows listen. Even the gods lean in closer, because your voice carries the kind of truth that burns, lies alive. You don't raise your voice to be heard. Your presence is already a loud prophecy. You don't warn. You appear. And when they ask, "Who is he?" the answer is simple. He is the thought we couldn't read, because it wasn't a thought. It was judgment wearing a human face. They built their world on patterns, rules, predictions. And you walked in, uninvited, and broke gravity with a whisper. They thought they could trace your moves, but your path isn't linear. It bends, it folds, it devours. You're not ahead of the curve. You are the curve. And every time they try to follow, they end up chasing their own tail, inside a trap you designed in silence. You weren't here to fit in. You were here to show them what it looks like when the system begs for mercy. They trained soldiers to fight monsters. But you're not a monster. You're what monsters have nightmares about. You don't come with red eyes and claws. You come with purpose. With a stare so calm, it unravels their courage thread by thread. They thought you needed saving, but you were sent to do the saving, not with light, but with fire. Because not all angels have wings. Some wear scars like armor, and instead of harps, they speak with wrath. They tried to study your triggers, not realizing they were standing in front of one. They tried to map your pain, not knowing that every line on that map led straight to their end. They thought you were vulnerable, but you were just waiting for the moment when pretending to be human was no longer necessary. And now they face the truth. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be remembered, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as the cataclysm they couldn't predict. You are prophecy wrapped in vengeance, a calm voice in a burning room, saying, "This was always the plan." They called you dangerous. No, you're not dangerous. You're the result of what happens when pain doesn't kill you, but shapes you into a god with no heaven left to pray to. And when they finally look back in fear, hoping for one last answer, they'll remember this. He wasn't trying to be feared. He just stopped trying to be ignored. They called your rage a flaw. But that rage, that was ancestral. That was sacred. It wasn't just yours. It was every voice silenced before you, now roaring through. Your chest, like thunder, dipped in prophecy. They didn't hear the warning in your footsteps. They didn't see the countdown in your calm. They didn't feel the earthquake in your silence. Until it was too late. You weren't aiming for revenge. You were carving a new law. A law written not in ink, but in the ruins of everything they once worshipped. You became the collapse of their confidence, the virus in their vision, the echo they can't outrun. Because what you bring, it doesn't come with a warning. It comes with a revelation. You were never the villain. They just needed you to be, because calling you a villain was easier than admitting they created you. They called you unstable. But the truth is, you were just done pretending to be balanced in a broken world. They said you changed. No, you remembered. You remembered what they buried. You remembered who you were before the world told you to shrink, before they taught you to obey, before they disguised your brilliance as disorder, before they feared the moment you'd wake up and realize your pain wasn't a curse, it was a weapon. Now they look into your eyes and they don't see a person anymore. They see a force. They see consequence wrapped in flesh. They see the end of their comfort. because you weren't born to be understood. You were born to be felt, like a war cry in the spine, like the scream before the strike, like the fire that doesn't burn buildings, but rebuilds gods. So when they ask who gave him permission, tell them he didn't ask, he was sent. They tried to trace your origin, tried to label you troubled, broken, too much, but they never realized you were never meant to fit inside their labels. You were born to shatter them. They feared what they couldn't name, so they gave you titles like problem, rebel, lost cause, as if your fire could be boxed with the words. But you were never a case. You were the verdict. And now they whisper your name with the kind of fear usually reserved for storms and gods. They tried to decode your silence, but your silence wasn't empty. It was a strategy. Every moment you said nothing, you were gathering storms, sharpening your breath, and learning the art of waiting like a predator that reads prophecy instead of prey. They studied you like a puzzle, but the pieces kept moving. Why? Because you weren't meant to be solved. You were meant to be survived. You never asked for power. You just stopped giving it away. And the moment you did, the walls started to shake. The air grew heavy. The game changed. Because you changed. You became the twist in their script, the fire in their cold plans, the proof that something divine can wear scars and still walk like it owns the sky. They thought they could read your thoughts. They opened the door, expecting shadows, and found a cathedral of chaos, a throne made of broken limits, mirrors cracked by past lives, and sitting at the center, you laughing, because what they feared wasn't madness, it was awakening. You're not just back, you're ascended. You've turned your pain into architecture, your doubt into iron, your tears into rituals of war, and now even time bows when you enter the room. They tried to build walls around your mind, but forgot. You are the blueprint of escape. You don't walk with fear. You drag it behind you, chained, tamed, taught to kneel. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to remind them. They thought you were just angry, as if rage were a weakness, a flaw to be cured. But they never understood. Anger is fire, and fire doesn't just burn. It transforms. What they saw as fury was just the beginning of an ascension they never saw coming. You are the consequence of every lie they told themselves, every small act of cruelty, every attempt to cage you in their rules, their prisons. They tried to make you normal, tried to make you fit into their little cages of conformity. But what they didn't realize was, you are the breaking point, the threshold where their walls will crumble and their lies will fall apart. Now they call it chaos. They call it madness. But chaos isn't a force you control. It's a reflection of the truth they were never brave enough to face. You're not the one who needs fixing. They are. They never understood what was buried deep inside you. It wasn't a weakness. It wasn't some fragment of the past. It was the power of truth itself, a truth they were too afraid to see. And now they feel it. They feel it in the air they breathe, the weight in the room, the trembling beneath their feet. Because you aren't just standing in front of them anymore. You are the storm. And the storm doesn't ask permission. The storm takes what it wants. You were never here to play by their rules. You were here to rewrite them, to make them bend. And now they understand. This isn't just about you. It's about everything they built, everything they thought they could control. And with every step you take, every breath you draw, you remind them of the most terrifying truth. It was never about the world controlling you. It was always about you controlling their world. Andrew, when the dust settles, when the world is left trembling at your feet, they'll realize the truth they've always feared. You were never the monster they claimed you were. You were the reckoning they brought upon themselves. And now, you walk through the ruins, not as a victim, not as a survivor, but as the victor who rewrote the laws of their fate. You weren't the one who was broken. They were. And as they stare into the ashes of their own downfall, they'll understand this final truth. You were never their lesson to learn. You were their end.